USC is stacking big days in a row, and they're also stacking some big-time defensive players.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you are going to download this show, this podcast, it's always free, and I always appreciate your support. The college football playoff is here, and you don't want to miss a moment of the action. The college football playoff, presented by Allstate, begins with 4 first-round games, December 20th and 21st on ESPN, ABC, TNT, and Max. How many of you are asking yourself, why did I waste all of that energy the other day, getting so out of shape, bent over? Remember the day Josh Henson took the job at Purdue? Both the Branch, Zion, and Zechariah, they decided to peel out, jump into the transfer portal. Remember how you felt that day? Remember how you acted? If you hang out on social media or any of the USC website message boards like wearesc.com, some of you kind of went off the rails, went off the reservation, got a little stupid. Well, kind of feels like a long time ago now, doesn't it? It didn't take long. It really didn't for USC to start passing out those good USC vibes again. The other day, if you watch the show, you heard about it already. Lincoln Riley transitioned from Josh Henson to Zach Hanson. That's your new offensive line coach. And then on the same day, Emmanuel Preyon, he made the offensive line just a whole lot better by announcing he's coming back for 2025. So now Zach Hanson gets to work with 3 returning starters instead of 2 on the offensive line. That's a great thing. And knowing that Elijah Page and Emmanuel Preyon and Alani Noah will be together again, that was a great day. All that happened yesterday. 2 days ago now, if you're making this episode of Locked On USC, your first listen on Friday to end the week. You know what else bodes well for 2025? Not just that you have 3/5 of your offensive line pretty much settled, but USC is now starting to take care of the defensive side of the ball. And when I say taking care of the defensive side of the ball, last year, marked improvement. I mean, you went out, you got Antonlynn, all-star cast at coaching staff. You saw the improvement on that side of the ball, especially giving up points. Well, when I say they're taking care of the defensive side of the ball now, I mean, look, if you're an everydayer of the show, you heard me say yesterday that if USC's defense wants to be all it can be, then they need to get better up front. And I was talking specifically about the middle of the defensive line. Well, USC just got better up front in the middle of the defensive line. Last week, I told you about a guy who was in the transfer portal. His name was Keeshawn Silver, 6'4", 336 pounds. He was taking a visit to USC. That was last week. Well, this week, Thursday, Keeshawn made his commitment to the Trojans public. Yeah. So he was one of Eric Henderson's top targets from day one. Once his name went in the transfer portal, Eric Henderson was like, he was sniffing around. He found his bone. It was Keeshawn Silver. He's one of those guys. The redshirt junior from Kentucky is a former 5-star. He was in the 2021 recruiting class. He was the nation's 22 overall prospect. So he originally signed with North Carolina, then he transferred to Kentucky after 2 years. So he's got 1 more year of eligibility. USC needed one of those types of defensive tackles, somebody you kind of line up over the ball, call him a gap eater. Well, that's what he's known for. That's what he did in Kentucky's scheme on defense. He's got 23 starts under his belt. He finished the 2024 season with 26 tackles, 1 sack. And according to Pro Football Focus, He also had 9 quarterback pressures, including a season high against Ole Miss, who had one of the better offensive lines in the country, at least on paper. USC handled one of the better offensive lines on paper, LSU's, in the first game of the season. So USC is just like, you know what? We've seen this before. We know we can play against, and now we can play with SEC caliber type of players. So let's peek ahead a little bit now. You've got Anthony Lucas, Braylon Shelby, Cameron Fountain. Those are the guys on the outside. Devin Tompkins, Kobe Pepe, I think he's coming back. Jade Abasiri, Carlon Jones, Ratumana Bulabalavu. You got Jakeem Stewart coming in. Floyd Boucard coming in. I didn't mention Gus Cordova. He's a defensive end. He's also coming in. But the guys I'm kind of underlining, highlighting right now, Tompkins, Pepe, Abasiri, Carlon Jones, Bulabalavu, Jakeem Stewart, and now you've got Keeshawn Silver. USC has some of that USC size again. And again, from what I'm being told, USC's NIL, their checkbook took a hit on this one. They're taking care of Coach Henney's need. So yeah, I don't know the exact dollar figure, but look, they learned their lesson last year when they lost out on a couple of players they were going for. They weren't willing to pay the market rate. They saw what those types of players can do. They're saying, all right, we got to do it too. So USC's in the game. And they're not done. You know, what if USC picks up 2 guys out of the transfer portal who can be an instant impact? I told you about Keeshawn Silver. He took the visit. He's committed. Other guys who have visited or are going to visit, you've got guys like Ja Jarrett from Georgia. You've got David Blay. I mentioned him, defensive tackle from Louisiana Tech. Haven't heard Gabriel Lightfoot's name come up recently. What's up with that? So those guys are still in play as well, as far as I know. I haven't heard anything different yet. And because USC likes to do things in pairs these last couple of days, the other day, Josh Henson, Emmanuel Prayon, well, let's continue with that. You got Keeshawn Silver, big defensive tackle, fills a huge role, huge need. You know what else USC needed? They really wanted Kamari Ramsey to come back and play one more year at safety. He's back. He's doing it. Yeah, he's coming back for another year. Quote, USC is a special place. I've loved being a part of the Trojan family. After much prayer and discussion, I've decided that there's more I want to accomplish with my teammates. I'm excited to run out of the Coliseum Tunnel again next season wearing the Cardinal and gold. Close that quote. It's a huge momentum get for the Trojans. Huge. He also gets he'll get to team up with a high school teammate of his, DJ Harvey, someone USC brought in out of the transfer portal, going to compete for a starting job at cornerback. USC was going to be young in the secondary next season, with essentially, you know, the top of the rotation moving on. Jalen Smith, Jacoby Covington, Achille Arnold, Greedy Vans. I'm assuming John Humphrey. But now you got Kamari Ramsey coming back. So him coming back for another year gives guys like the younger guys like Marcellus Williams, Braylon Connolly, Isaiah Rubin, Marquise Gallegos, Christian Pierce, Jarvis Boatwright Jr., et al. I mean, there's a lot of guys. They've got an extra personnel that they can look up to for that veteran leadership. So you've got Kamari Ramsey, you've got Anthony Beavers Jr., you got Prophet Brown. Those are your 3 veterans in the secondary. That's it. And, you know, if we're being honest, Ramsey's the one who's probably played the most, followed by Beavers. Prophet Brown, he had that great Holiday Bowl last year. I'm hoping he takes that next step. You really root for the guys who have been with the program from Jump Street, guys like Anthony, guys like Prophet Brown. We're getting down to the end of the Clay Helton era. You want to reward those guys who stuck through it, through the tough times, and now hopefully they get to enjoy some of the positive as well. But, you know, getting Ramsey back, what he showed on the field, last year in that one season, he was one of USC's best defenders. Getting that back is huge. And let's not forget, he missed 2 games last year due to injury, but he still finished 5th on the team with 53 tackles, 2nd on the team with 5.5 for loss. He tied for the team lead with 5 pass breakups, and he also led the team with 2 fumble recoveries. Yeah. When you watch Kamari play the game, you see how instinctual he is. He's always around the ball. So what did I say about the transfer portal window season when it opened? Is it the best way to describe this time of year? It's like riding a roller coaster. Right now, these last couple of days, it's been the fun part. It's the fun part of the ride where everyone's screaming, fight on. Don't forget, the other day, you had a little bit of Montezuma's revenge. Let's keep that to a minimum. Okay. After the bowl games, as the postseason continues to, work itself out, teams in the playoffs, you're going to have more guys jumping into the transfer portal, and that includes guys from USC. So let's try to maintain, keep everything level. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Just deal with it. Kind of like recruiting. This is just a new way. This is college football, how it's working today. Told you. Don't try and develop long-term relationships. These are 1-year contracts that you kind of have to get used to now. That's just how college football is building their rosters. So let's enjoy it, right? All right, got another segment coming up. We're going to, we're going to talk about the Vegas Bowl a little bit, but we're going to focus it on USC players. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Rocket Money has made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. You got USC basketball season, NBA season's in full effect. You LA Kings fan, go Kings go. You got one more USC football game of the season. Have you got your tickets for the Vegas Bowl yet? You know what? If you haven't, get over to Game Time. Get your tickets there. They're the best place to get your tickets. Best price guaranteed. And you always know you're going to get the best view for your buck. Game Time has this feature where you can actually see your view from your seat before you check out. And if you want to make sure you're getting the best ticket at the best price, Game Time has another feature that kind of filters out all the fluff. They're only going to show you the best. They're going to show you what's in your price range. And like I said, they also guarantee the best price. If you find the same ticket in the same section and row for less, Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Let's be honest. Winning the Vegas Bowl against Texas A&M is secondary. It's secondary to knowing what does USC have coming up through the ranks? Who are going to be those next players that they're going to be relying on? The younger guys. Don't get me wrong. USC does not want to finish the season 6-7, 7-6. Still sounds a lot better than 6-7. You don't want to have a losing year. Last time USC played in the Vegas Bowl, and well, it's not the last time, but the last time they went there with a 6-6 record, yeah, they ended up 6-7. We don't want a repeat of that. That was back in 2001. We don't need that again. Excuse me. So USC is facing a really good quality opponent. You mentioned Texas A&M Aggies. They've got some guys on their roster that USC wouldn't mind having. I mean, let's be honest. What we're looking forward to is the competition. It's going to be good for the younger players. And that's what this bowl game's about. Getting some younger players some playing time, seeing what they can do. Look, I understand Texas A&M. They've had some opt-outs as well. They're still going to pose a challenge. On offense for USC, and I want to focus on the younger players that I want to see. They got to show what they're capable of doing for 2025. So on offense, we know it's going to be Jaden Mayabe at quarterback. Jake Jensen, oh, by the way, he's committed to Montana. He's still on the roster. He'll be the backup. Maybe he'll get a couple plays before he checks out of town. But you got Jaden Mayabe at quarterback. Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane. You've got DJ Jordan, Jay Fair, Richardson and Ross at wide receiver. And then you also got Kyle Ford. So your veteran guys, Jay Fair, Jaden Richardson, Charles Ross, the transfer that came in from San Jose State earlier this year, Kyle Ford, who came back from UCLA, USC to UCLA, back to USC. Those guys are going to play. And like I said, you're going to see Lemon and you're going to see Lane. But I really want to focus on those younger guys, Lemon and Lane and DJ, Xavier Jordan. What can you do? You're not going to have to deal with the Taj Washington and Brendan Rice like you did in the bowl game last year. Deuce Robinson, Zachariah Branch, they've moved on. All right, you're the dudes. Show us again. And do it against SEC competition. At running back, yeah. Thank you, Woody Marks, for everything you did in your 1 year as a Trojan. Last year, the first 1,000-yard rusher. It was great watching you. But I'm really looking forward to what Brian Jackson and Amari Peterson can do. I want to see how they handle all the snaps, all the reps. All of them. Run the ball 30 times, 35 times. Split those things up evenly. Now, if one of those guys is running like crazy, okay, you can have a few more snaps than the other guy, but you get my point. Let's see what they're capable of doing. Because what these guys do in this game, it's going to go a long way in determining the staff's confidence in them in 2025. They signed the running back out of New Mexico, Eli Sanders, 1,000-yard rusher last year. You've got Harry Dalton and Riley Wormley coming in. These guys need to hold those guys off. And same concept with the tight ends. All right, Lake McCree, thank you. I'm hoping you're coming back, but I want to see Walker Lyons. I want to see Joey Olsen, and let's see what Walter Matthews can do. Look, no one gets penalized for playing in the postseason, so no one's burning a red shirt. Let's do it. Let's make the bowl game all about the young guys. On the other side of the ball, same thing. I've seen glimpses of Marcellus Williams. He showed out in the spring game. Unfortunately, he got hurt this season. I saw a little bit of Braylon Connolly. That guy brings it. He can play. He kind of reminds me, and I know it's an easy comparison, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Jalen Smith. You know what? Step into those shoes and do what he did. I'm good. I want to see all the freshmen and all the sophomores, guys like Marquise Gallegos and Jarvis Boatwright Jr. and Christian Pierce, Malachi Crawford, Isaiah Rubin. Let those guys play the entire second half of the game. I imagine they're going to be playing most of the game. But the entire second half, it's yours. Take over. Pretend it's your team. And, there's two ways of looking at it. One, you're trying to put stuff on film to show your own coaches that they can evaluate during the offseason. But, just keeping it real, maybe 1, 2 of these guys, they might be jumping into the transfer portal. Put some stuff on film for your future coach, future program. You never know. Same thing with the front seven. At linebacker, just give me Elijah Newby all day long. Desmond Stevens, Jaden Walker. Let's see what Garrison Madden can do. You know what? Friend of the show, great walk-on, always has a smile, willing to do whatever's necessary. Let's see what Roman Marchetti can do in a game. Not just on special teams, running down, chasing kickoffs. Put him in at linebacker. They don't have a linebacker coach right now. So, Bryson Allen Williams, guys in charge, put Roman out there, number 57. Put them on the field. Give them an opportunity to play. That's what the bowl games are about. And when you're 6-6, you're playing in the Vegas Bowl, no offense, everybody should be playing. And I'm saying it, I'll say it what I said in the last segment. We're talking about 1-year contracts now. That's what college football is all about. That's how you're building your roster. You're not developing those coaching relationships anymore. It's just going to be harder because of NIL, because of that lure. Until there's guardrails and some rules put into place, that's why you're seeing so much action, particularly this off season. Because I think everybody's anticipating this is the last year of the wild, wild west. So that's why you're seeing all these guys jump around. Speaking of coaching relationships, I had this passed on to me. I wanted to pass this along to you. One really good source that's close to the offensive line room told me that Coach Henson, he said he had a really tough time leaving because of the relationships that he had built with the guys that he, would recruited and was starting to develop. He mentioned I was told that the offensive coordinator position at Purdue just kind of fell in his lap. It just all came about last minute. Once Barry Odom took the job, he and Josh Henson worked together for 5-6 years at Missouri. That was his first call. And as Josh Henson told my source, not getting any younger. Meaning, I think he still wants to be a head coach, or at the very least, actually call plays on offense. He was the offensive coordinator at USC in name only. I think we all know that. The one nugget I did learn out of my conversation, I think you guys will like this, because we've talked about the offensive line. Tobias Raymond, this year in 2024, he was part of the 6 deep. He had made that jump. So I think we know who's going to be starting at right tackle when USC lines up against Texas A&M. Just throwing it out there, okay? I think your starting offensive line is going to be Elijah Page, Emmanuel Prayone, Killian O'Connor, Alani Noah, and the aforementioned Tobias Raymond. After that, we'll mix things up, get some rotation going. We'll see who's playing. Again, I'm really, really looking forward to the bowl game. I know they're not playing for anything really prestigious, but you're playing for next year. So I'm looking forward to what the Trojan toddlers look like when they're actually let loose into the playroom. Say, go get it. Go get an Aggie. Go do your thing. Looking forward to it. Can't wait for the bowl game. December 28th. It's almost here. It's that time of the year. The college football playoff is back, and with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting action and high-flying excitement that we know you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show that's presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, and that's leading into our first matchup, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions. That's at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoffs presented by Allstate live on TNT. It's Friday. It's the third segment. It's time for my rant. I'm not sure which one of these made me shake my head more and like roll my eyes. Like, are you kidding? Really? The first one is the fact that Quentin Joyner went for that NIL bag and somehow or another he found it at Texas Tech. It's either that or the audacity of Alabama's athletic director, Greg Byrne, putting out a message trying to calm down the Alabama fan base. And he's accusing other football programs of luring away the Crimson Tide players with large sums of money. Let that sink in for a second. Alabama's AD called out other schools for using promises of $1 million paydays. That's the irony, it's too rich. The jokes write themselves. Let me give you his full statement. Alabama fans, over the past few years, there have been drastic changes in college athletics. We've been careful during this transitional period to protect our position at the top of college athletics while being mindful to listen, engage, and learn from our generous supporters, proud alumni, and unrivaled fans to make sure that we protect our great traditions here at Alabama. But there's time for talk and there's time for action. Now is the time for action. Although we have been very competitive from an NIL standpoint, our competition has us in their sights and are actively trying to surge ahead with NIL. You heard examples of other teams using promises of $1 million paydays to lure away our players or convince them not to come to Alabama. It is time for the Bama Nation to fight back. End quote. Holy cheese and rice. Are you kidding me? Did Dodge Charger University just call out other programs for inducing players to come play for them? Is Greg Byrne pretending that Alabama did not invent the McDonald's bag full of cash? I mean, to me, that is hysterical. Alabama, Crimson Tide fan base, welcome to a level playing field. Yeah, Mr. Byrne, Bama Nation, guess what? Everybody's playing your game now. And they're probably playing it a little bit better. Trust me, as a USC guy, I feel your pain, your angst. I understand what you're going through. But don't give me no crocodile tears. No pearl clutching. Not while I'm around. Not when it comes to this. Just don't. Don't bring that stuff in my face. Look, the reason why Alabama's athletic director is making this public statement is because Kalen DeBoer is not Nick Saban. He's a good coach, but he doesn't have Nick Saban's jewelry. He doesn't have those rings. And more importantly, more money is always going to be undefeated. Even against big, bad Alabama football, money is still undefeated. Every time. Since the NCAA, since the transfer portal opened, Alabama has lost 15 guys to the portal. And that number might have jumped up a couple. They've only gotten one guy in return. That's why they're white knuckling it right now. That's why they're pointing the finger at everybody but themselves. Like I said, USC fans, we can relate to that. So what Alabama's athletic director is doing, he's putting the challenge out. Say, all right, Alabama fan, you're upset. We feel you. I get it. Start donating and we'll start paying more. Challenge levied. Gauntlet thrown. Let's see if they pick it up. Pick up the gauntlet, start paying, start donating. And I'm saying the same thing to USC, to the Trojan family. If you want to continue to get the Keeshawn Silvers, those types of players, the Jakeem Stewarts out of high school, guess what? Start writing that check. Start figuring out which player do you want on a 1-year contract next year. Going forward, that's what college football is. And look, as far as Quentin Joyner, I really do. I hope he got what he was looking for, what he wanted. I've driven through Lubbock, Texas before. No offense, but the Lubbock, Texas reminds me of that area between Bakersfield and New Quiyama. Yeah, Lubbock is not a destination, and neither is that area between Bakersfield and New Quiyama. It's just not. So it is kind of ironic, though, that Quentin Joyner ended up at the place where Lincoln Riley played quarterback, where he got started in coaching, Texas Tech. Then again, start doing a little bit of research. Texas Tech is, I guess their oil money is oil money right now. Remember Romello Height? Transferred to Georgia Tech last year, had a pretty good year. Well, he jumped back into the transfer portal. He's transferring to Texas Tech. He's going to be a Red Raider. Like I said, I think oil money is going to oil money. Texas Tech is Quentin Joyner, Romello Height. There was another bigger name player that they just signed. Name escapes me right now. I apologize. I guess my overarching point is this. When Alabama is crying about the way NIL and street agents are operating, something's stinking up the college football room. So when USC's losing players to Texas Tech and Alabama's losing players to everybody, or at least to the idea of, hey, you can go make 500, 750,000, $1 million, just come with me. I understand why Alabama feels the way they do. Because USC fans kind of feel the same way. This year, USC is, so far, it looks like they're willing to write that check. All right, that's the end of this episode of Locked on USC. It's the end of this week. Man, it was quick. I'll be back. If something big newsworthy breaks, I'll be back with another episode throughout the weekend. But until that happens, everyone, hey, thank you for making Locked on USC your first listen, first watch every day. When you're done here, Locked on College Football. Playoffs are coming up. You want to know what's going on there. And then get on over to wearesc.com because there is a ton of written content. So until that next episode of Locked on USC, everyone, you know what to do. Have a great weekend.